I'm going to move along with the puppet show here. Today I haven't done any dispatch calls, so I'm not all worked up by having to listen to human suffering for like 3 hours a day. Uh, you listen to those calls, it's like watching. It's like watching like war movie or something in real time. I mean, you're just being subjected to all this human suffering that you're hearing live, even though it's a day late. I mean, it's all real life is what you hear on the scanner. It's real life. It's just raw, and it's human suffering, and it really bothers me at times. But today I didn't. I took a break from the dispatch, so I'm not all worked up. Okay, from having to listen to that shit show. So maybe I won't get so. I know that certain people enjoy listening to me lose my shit. Uh, and when I play it back and I listen to it myself, it's like, boy, I really do lose my shit, don't I? But some of this stuff is so absurd that you can't help it. You can't help but lose your shit because these people are just, who the hell are you people, and what do you think you're doing? You don't help anything. You're useless. All right, now let's go on to the next segment here, the general manager report, and these have been the most fluff-filled general manager reports since I've been watching general manager reports. Okay, he never talks about anything that's really important at all. So, I mean, he's very good at his smile and his presentation, and he's a very good cheerleader. I'm going to give him an A+ for that, because we know that that's really what he has to do. He has to keep that positive attitude. I understand, and he's very good at that. And I understand from my feedback, I understand that a lot of drivers and other people do like him, which is good. But he's a fake. Okay, he's a fake. So I just want to make sure that people understand that he's just a technocrat, and technocracy is running our world. So let's get right on the general manager's report, Mr. Sam DESUE, Mr. Sam Demand DESUE.
Morning, President Simmons, members of the board, staff, and
look
the
at
public.
Look at that now. See, look at his face. He's got that great smile.
For being with us today. So this morning we will be sharing timely information with you on updating you on our COVID-19 precautions.
Look at this. He's got that smile. I do think he's very good with that. I mean, but Dougie was really good with it too. And Dougie was more of a professional bullshitter. I think this is the first bullshit job that Sam has found himself in, where he's actually on the public stage, where he has to bullshit with a straight face, which I could never do that, man. I mean, I would never be able to do his job. It's absolutely true. I would never be able to do it. I couldn't perform this function, and most people can't.
Briefly reviewing our January ridership, we will share with you a milestone in TRIMET's public art program, and then we're going to give you a report on redistricting process for the districts represented by the board. And then finally, we'll take a moment to recognize an operator who demonstrated bravery.
Yeah, he's added this little component to the board meetings, which it's a very nice addition. That he's added the little operator appreciation moment on some of these board meetings. So I think that's a nice thing.
While on the job for the safety of others. So I'll start here. Reports of new cases of COVID-19 among TRIMET employees have slowed.
The Omicron. Dr. John Campbell discussed all this and everything he was talking about It's coming true. There was a big surge, and now it's going away. And I even think I got it. And now it's receding back to normal. And all the weakened immune system people got sick, got really sick. I didn't get that sick. I mean, I was out of it for a couple of days there, but I mean, you know, where you can't watch, so out of it you can't watch TV or anything. Couldn't sleep, but now I seem to be recovered.
We've seen it statewide. We continue to require masks inside our facilities and in-service buses and trains. The governor's office has indicated that it would lift indoor mask requirements by the end of next month, and we will keep an eye on the federal requirement by TSA that requires masks worn on board public transit through at least March 18th. We will be responsive should those mask requirements change as well. Now turn to the January ridership report. In January, TRIMET provides...
See, look at his smile. That's quite a skill he does have there, to keep that smile while talking about nothing. Okay, that's a good one.
3.79 million rides. Last month, ridership was 25% higher than January of 2021.
That's good.
And about 52%.
And your service is 20% lower.
2% lower than ridership in January 2020. A few months before the start of COVID-19 pandemic in Oregon. I do want to share with you an exciting anniversary for TRIMET and the communities we serve. March 2022 will mark the 25 years of TRIMET's public art program. Its roots stretch back to artwork that came with the Max Blue Line West Side Project in 1992. On the heels of that success, the formal public art resolution that established our public arts policy was signed in March 21, 1997. That policy has now cultivated art across all 5 Max lines. And to mark the 25th anniversary, we will feature a series of special buses featuring the work of artists who contribute art to our transit system.
Contributions, Sammy. See, Sammy's not as literate as Dougie.
Each bus will debut in conjunction with a month of cultural recognition. Our first bus features a piece by an artist who goes by Echo and depicts an image of a mother and a son for Black History Month. We are also developing partnerships and planning educational opportunities and small celebrations around the public art collection that really invite you, the board, and the public to join us.
Come on, let's see some slides of this stuff. Let's see it. I want to see it. You can just show us a slide. Come on, you leaders in technology. Get with the program.
Turning now to a housekeeping item that is procedural in nature, but an important requirement per state statute. President Simmons and board directors, you each represent one of 7 districts in TRIMET's service district. After each new federal consensus, TRIMET is required to
Did he just say after each new edible consensus?
Assess those districts to make sure that they are balanced when it comes to population. With me today is Executive Director J.C. Bonetta. He's going to explain further and the process that's getting underway. So, J.C., we'll turn
he's another one, J.C.
over to you.
Awesome. And Kim, are you pulling up the presentation?
See, look, see this? He's got a little PowerPoint thing here. Why didn't we get that with your art one, Sammy?
Right on the money. So good morning, President Simmons and members of the board. As General Manager DESUE indicated, TRIMET must do what is called redistricting due to the 2020 federal census data recently released. Next slide.
like anybody cares about this at all, which we don't.
For the members of our community watching this morning, I'm going to first explain how TRIMET is governed and the board established. Then I'll share the Oregon Secretary of State's direction on how and why we must redistrict. I'll touch on the updated data from the 2020 census. Bibiana McHugh, our manager of mobility and location-based services, will go over 3 scenarios for adjusting the board districts that she has developed.
This is a bureaucratic, technocratic dream come true. It's a whole bunch of nothing that's going to cost taxpayer money, and it produces nothing. Okay, you get nothing comes from this of any value to any citizen or any employee.
With her team. And finally, I'll explain the timeline and process for redistricting. Next slide, please. As our board of directors, you have each been appointed by Oregon's governor to represent one of 7 districts that make up our service area. And you must live within the district you represent. Those districts have been structured to be approximately equal in population. Next slide. Per state statute, the district boundaries must be reevaluated after each new federal census using updated population data. The Secretary of State has given all Oregon transit districts further direction on this requirement, and we are working with our office as well as in coordination with Lane Transit District and Salem Chariots to ensure we are all working together to meet the same statutory goals. Next slide. As we look at balancing our existing districts, the aim is that they be contiguous, be of equal population, use existing geographic or political boundaries, not divide communities of common interest.
You know why this is complete nonsense? Because these communities don't elect the board member. I mean, if people were being elected by the communities, this might have some significance. But this is a political cronyism board. They're appointed by a politician who's not even in Portland, which neuters all of this. This doesn't mean anything when you have an appointed board and rather than an elected board. Now, redistricting makes sense when there's an election, but there's no election here. So this is all garbage.
Interest and be connected by transportation links. A new requirement in the Secretary of State's rule is that any changes be consistent with the diversity, equity,
here we go.
And accessibility.
Here we go, everybody. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Values of the Secretary of State, as outlined in the agency's mission, vision, and values. Next slide. TRIMET is well aligned with the Secretary of State's values for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. We consistently conduct thorough public outreach and engagement, and we've recently expanded our outreach through partnerships with community-based organizations to encourage feedback.
The old community-based organizations, all these NGOs that are, they all have their $200,000 executive directors and all of their staffs, their partners, they call them. These are all the other crony money grabbing agencies.
Feedback from people in communities of color, those who are transit dependent, and others who have felt underrepresented. Next slide. The new data from the 2020 census shows the total population now for the TRIMET Service District is 1,655,186 people. That's an increase of 182,855 people from the previous census. Splitting the 7 districts in our service area by equal population would mean each district would contain about 236,000 people. Next slide. So here's a quick look at our current district map, which I know you all are familiar with it as you are familiar.
And I'll repeat again, this means nothing because these districts don't actually get to vote for anything. This is nothing, absolutely meaningless, completely 100% meaningless.
Familiar with your own district, so we won't spend too much time there. Next slide. Now take a closer look at the updated populations based on existing districts. And I know this slide is small for our viewers at home, but our board members, it's slide 9 in your packet. As you see, each district has had a population gain, but some, District 2 covering North, Northwest, and portions of Southwest Portland, District 1 in Washington County and District 7 in Clackamas County have had the greatest gains, respectively. Now I'm going to bring in Bibiana McHugh to explain the three math scenarios. Next slide.
Wait a minute, stop. It says here District 7 has a negative 0.06. What? I don't understand what that means. Okay, so I'm looking at the wrong column. Okay, so I see. So Portland is dying, except everybody's still moving there.
That we will be assessing to balance the populations of the district. But I do want to note that in all of the scenarios, all current board members still reside in their assigned districts. I would also note that we did bring in a consultant, Steve Mark.
They brought in a consultant! Yes, of course you did. Of course, you can't do anything. You have to bring in a consultant. You take that tax money and hand it over to somebody from outside the agency to do whatever this nonsense is, because it's nonsense.
Who has worked on a number of redistricting efforts for various entities. Most of late was Washington County. So we have also gotten some outside consultation as we have put these updates together. So Bibi, I'll turn it over to you.
Where's the?
Thank you, JC.
This is the consultant.
Again, as you said.
Bibiana McHugh. She's been around forever. She's got one of the best jobs at TRIMET. She travels all over the world, going around telling everybody how much of a leader in technology TRIMET is. She's the technology queen.
District scenarios were generated based on population and the borders along existing geographic or political boundaries. Then we looked at the demographics and found that the difference between each scenarios it was very minuscule, below 0.2%. When we look at scenario 1, it represents the simplest change. It has two areas of boundary changes, with a portion of District 2 moving to District 5 and a portion of District 5 moving to District 6.
I think you have to advance the slide, Kim, if you're able to. Forgive me, you were making some comments. So now your comments are appropriate for scenario 1, Bibi. Sorry about that.
Okay. No problem. Thank you. While equal population in scenario 1 would be 236,000, in this scenario, District 1 would have the largest population at 240,900, and District 6 would have the smallest at 231,552. This is a difference of 938 people. Please advance to scenario 2. Thank you. Now, scenario 2 has moderate changes with 3 boundary adjustments that bring us a little bit closer to the target of 236,000 for equal population distribution. Border changes would affect districts 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6.
What a waste of effort.
Now, District 2 would have the largest population, which is the case with our current districts, and would have 240,600. District 4 would have the smallest population of 232,000, and that's a difference of 8,253 people.
Yippee.
Advance to District 3, please. District 3, this scenario brings us the closest to equal population by district, but comes with numerous border changes and adjustments to all districts except District 7. District 2 would have the largest population at around 236,000, and District 3 would have the smallest population of 236,103, a difference of just 743 people. Now I'll toss it back to JC to talk about the process for determining.
This is completely ridiculous. They actually spent time and money on this, and it has no effect on anything. Another great example of technocracy at work doing shit that means nothing.
Which scenario will be forwarded to the Secretary of State's office.
Awesome. Thank you, Bibi, and thank you and your staff. And also, I know Steve March is listening. Thank you so very much, Steve, for all of your help. So with this presentation to you, President Simmons and directors, We begin today launching our public communications and engagement efforts for the redistricting process. Now, through April 15th, TRIMET, forgive me, Kim, can you advance the slide? Thank you so much. Sorry about that. Through April 15th, TRIMET will collect public comments through our website.
Public comment on what? What is there to comment on? What does this have to do with people? They don't elect these board members. It means nothing. You're getting me upset.
TRIMET.org, and we will host 2 open houses, conduct
So they're going to do all this bureaucracy over this that means nothing. That does nothing, means nothing, changes nothing. It's ridiculous. This is why I don't watch this shit. I don't need to be reminded of how fucking ridiculous our government actually is. I already know how ridiculous it is. I don't need to be reminded of it constantly, how stupid they are and fucking waste our tax money on shit like this.
Outreach with our community committees and partners and gather feedback from community leaders.
What? What's the feedback? Oh, we're going to change this district boundary because we want them to be equal. I mean, what feedback? What?
TRIMET staff will compile the feedback and come back before the board meeting in April with a single map scenario that we will recommend as
so they're going to... Here they go again, folks. Here we see it again. They turn something like this into this whole big bureaucratic deal, and it has no effect on anything. They do this with every fucking thing they get their hands on, man. They turn it into a big bureaucratic deal, sucking up as much tax money as possible and producing nothing for the actual public.
District map. That will be presented as a resolution for your consideration and approval. A final map must go to the Oregon State, Oregon Secretary of State, no later than May 15th. And last slide, please.
I don't know. Can they handle it?
So we have all of this information, and you can poke around on the various maps at TRIMET.org/board/redistricting.
Yippee!
And again, as General Manager DESUE said, this is more of a housekeeping issue.
Yes.
It sounds complex at first, but it's actually pretty straightforward. As Bibby had mentioned, many of the changes are quite minuscule. So with that,
yeah, there's no changes. It doesn't change anything. For those at home, those riders, this doesn't have any effect on you whatsoever. As I said, you don't vote for these people, so it doesn't mean anything. Nothing. It means nothing to you.
General Manager DESUE, I'll toss it back to you.
I appreciate it, JC. Thank you. And President Simmons and board, if you have questions, this is my final item here, and then we can answer any questions that you have afterwards. But I want to take a moment here to recognize one of our MAX operators who jumped in and helped when he saw some riders in jeopardy. With me today, I have Manager of Rail Operations, Carissa.
Oh, now here they go again. They're going to bring the manager. Bring us the MAX operator. Forget the manager. We don't care about the manager. Bring in the operator, let them tell their story without a manager around. Can you do that, Sam? Really?
She joins us this morning to share the heroism of Operator Chris Parker. So, Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Parker? What? Who is that? I think I know that guy.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, TRIMET board members, for allowing us to formally thank Operator Chris Parker for his actions.
Who is he? I think I know him. I can't recognize him with this fucking mask. The name is familiar.
For those who are not aware, on November 19, 2021, at the Clackamas Town Center station, Chris witnessed a person repeatedly flashing at 2 passengers with careless visitors. As soon as he became aware of the situation, he contacted Rail Control and TRIMET Operations.
What did she say? He said somebody was flashing something at 2 passengers. I didn't catch it. I don't want to. Well, let me see. Can I roll it back a little bit here?
And then after being asked about the incident afterwards, he noted that he helped
go back.
Operator Chris Parker for his actions in helping to subdue a person with attempted kidnappers. For those who are not aware, on November 19, 2021, at the Clackamas Town Center station, Chris witnessed a person repeatedly flashing at 2 passengers with careless visitors. As soon as he became
the
aware of the
scissors incident.
situation, he contacted rail control.
Okay, I think she said, right, that's the scissors. I remember the incident. They had scissors. Remember this? I think we looked up these callers. I remember the incident.
TRIMET Operation Command Center, which we call the OCC, and notified them of the issue. Then he saw the passengers couldn't restrain the agitated individual on their own. He then stepped in and held his arm and restrained the person until police arrived. And then after being asked about the incident afterwards, he noted that he helped because he couldn't stand by and watch people get hurt. So Operator Parker's selflessness and quick thinking helped de-escalate a situation that could have turned out very differently. So we just want to thank Chris for his actions on that day, and we are very grateful to have you as a rail operator.
You know, I don't like this, okay? I want you to send in the operator to tell us what happened. I don't want to hear it through a manager. You have an operator that does something heroic or something uplifting. You bring us the operator and let them tell us the story. Okay, we don't need a manager in between here. Okay, I don't like that. You're ruining it, Sam.
Before I hand this back to you, though, I do want to mention that Chris has been known for being a kind and courageous person. He once received a commendation for putting out a small brush fire with water bottles that a cat had swallowed. Chris was in his uniform at the time on the way to work, and the caller expressed his gratitude and amazement at his action. So it's clear to us that TRIMET is truly lucky to have Chris. And I should also mention that he was in the Army. So I also want to say thank you for your service on that.
Thank you for that.
And that speaks to his valor. So I want to now turn this back to you. If you guys have any questions.
Yeah, I don't like this. I want him to tell the story. Why are you telling us the story?
Anything that you would like to say?
Well, first of all, before we open it up to the board,
I think it, you couldn't really understand what the incident was. I mean, was it something to do with scissors? I think that's what she said. I think I remember something about that. I mean, but that wasn't, that wasn't articulated very well at all.
Chris, thank you for your service to our country, first and foremost. I would like to personally thank you for going above and beyond the job description and doing the right thing to help others. You've exemplified caring and compassionate customer service, and I really appreciate you. We have world-class operators that work here at TRIMET, and you've exhibited exemplary service, and I really, really appreciate that. So again, thank you, and I'll open the floor up for comments to the board.
Director Edwards.
Thank you, Linda. I just appreciate when we are able to acknowledge our operators for who they are, because this is really talks about who you are, and I really appreciate the fact that we have folks that step up, because too often you're doing what you do, which is above and beyond, and you don't get recognized for it. And I know you don't do it for recognition, but it's often good to just get a pat on the back sometimes, or just an acknowledgement of the good work that you do out above and beyond what you're called to do. So thank you again for being a good citizen. Thank you for being a good employee. Thank you for representing TRIMET well.
Thank you.
Director Gonzalez, did you have a comment related to this?
Oh, it's a baby. Come on,
because your hand's been up for some time.
Yeah, I had a question about another item. I wanted to give other board members a chance to comment, but while I have the floor, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your courage, your leadership, your heroism.
Thank you.
Director Lewis, and then Director Bauer.
Oh, fuck. I have to go back. I need a picture.
Don't get recognized for it. And I know you don't do it for recognition, but it's often good to just get a pat on the back sometimes, or just an acknowledgement of the good work that you do out above and beyond what you're called to do. So thank you again for being a good citizen. Thank you for being a good employee. Thank you for representing TRIMET well.
Thank you.
Director Gonzalez, did you have a comment related to this or another item? Because your hand's been up for some time.
Yeah, I had a question about another item. I wanted to give other board members a chance to comment, but while I have the floor, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for your courage, your leadership, your heroism.
Thank you. Director Lewis and then Director Bauman.
I just wanted to say, thank you, President Simmons. I just wanted to say thank you, Chris. You have a big heart. Thank you for such a great task and stepping out and stepping up. So I just want to say thank you. Glad you were there, and what bravery. And thank you for being who you are.
Director Bauman.
Yeah, Chris, I just wanted to weigh in and say, thank you for your compassion and your service and your bravery.
I wish I understood what I actually did. I stepped in and stopped an incident, but I really didn't get the description that well. I'm not going back again either.
You're a great example for all of us as to what it means to be really engaged in the community and looking out for others. So thank you. I'm really glad to hear your story and glad that you're here today.
That came out good.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to make any comments?
Do
you want to make a comment at all, Chris?
Yeah, well, yeah, it'd be nice if you let him talk. How about next time, Sam, you let the operator make the presentation? How about that? How about you let the operator be the focus of the attention and give his story in his words?
I just want to say I appreciate everybody's kind words. It means a lot to me. I did what I hope anybody would do in the situation, and really just not just for themselves, but for the people that we serve. So I appreciate it.
That's humble.
We're grateful that you're a member of the TRIMET family. Thank you so much.
The TRIMET family.
General Manager DESUE.
All right, again, Chris, thank you for being here.
Ozzy had a question, remember? Let him talk.
President Simmons, that concludes my report for this morning.
And that.
See where Director Gonzalez has a question for you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for the floor, President Simmons. So yeah, my question actually goes back to the redistricting topic. I understand the impulse to balance the districts from a population standpoint. Could you please speak to what else redistricting does for either service planning, operating, fund allocation? What other implications does this have, or does it have implications for the public?
Well, there you go. Now there's an actual intelligent question. Okay. Yes. There you go. An actual intelligent question. From the one guy that actually got a brain, I think, on this board.
Director Gonzalez, it has no implications on the...
It has no implications. You got him, Ozzy. Good job.
Those pieces that you just mapped out. Our service is done holistically. As we look at service across our district, each of the funding is not broken out per district or anything like that.
Now there you go. Now there you got him. Okay, you got it, man. That's what I just said, and you brought it up, and he had an answer.
So quite literally, this is just an exercise to make sure that all of our board members are representing roughly the equal amount of people.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's completely a waste of time. It means nothing. It would mean something if the constituents voted, but they're not actually constituents because they're not responsible to this. They're appointed, so it means nothing. And even JC just said it.
And Director Edwards, your hand is still up. Do you still have a question or?
Yes, thank you. I took it down and brought it back up. I do have a question of Director DESUE. General Manager DESUE. I'm sorry. I want to know: is there a way to quantify the enhancements that you have made to attracting operators and retaining operators that we can kind of get a read on how that has impacted that improvement in retaining and attracting new operators?
Good question, Mr. Edwards. Let's see what he says.
Yes, I can actually provide that. Can we bring up both Rochelle Glaser and also Kim Sewell?
Oh, see, he's passing. See, Ozzy always passes these things over to his staff. He doesn't answer these questions. He always passes them off.
Can we just promote them into the panelists?
Yes, I've just moved them into the meeting. Thank you.
So Kim, why don't you start off with the HR side of it on what we've done so far?
Sure. Thank you, Sam. And thanks for the question, Director Edwards. We currently are seeing some increase in numbers for our operator recruiting classes.
Wait a minute. She's at Director Kim's house. She's in bed with Kim. This is the exact living room of she's over at Kim's house.
I think the latest, what we had a previous class that I believe was 15, up from about 4 to 6. And our most recent class, we have 10 identified with the potential to increasing a couple of additional class members. And we did just send one of our recruiters to an out-of-state recruiting event that we're hoping will also draw some applicants from out of state. Rochelle may talk about this in a moment when she takes the floor, but we do have a committee that is starting up tomorrow focused specifically on operator shortage, but shortages elsewhere in our frontline staff. And we will be identifying additional ways to continue to track and improve.
Yes, and we all know how to solve this problem, but you won't do it. You raise the salaries, and you raise them significantly, and that solves the problem. You won't do it. You're going to gaslight us with this other shit.
Our staffing numbers. As far as having one place to go to for that, it's a good idea, Director Edwards. And I think what I'll do is have one of my recruiting staff members sort of keep track of that in one document, just to make sure that we are aware of all of our efforts and the result of all of our efforts for our recruitment and retention issues.
That you don't have an answer? You're not keeping track.
Director Edwards, we would also, I'll be remiss, I want to bring in also Rochelle Glaser. We took this as an emergency. We created a executive steering committee that is looking at operator shortages and retention. And both Rochelle and Kim is part of the committee, but Rochelle is the lead on it. So Rochelle, any update that you would like to provide the board?
Good morning. So one update I will provide is that as we've continued to receive applications.
Hey, it looks like she's actually in the office, doesn't it? That looks like it's probably what, she's actually in the office? You're kidding me.
Our biggest focus right now is getting folks processed and getting through those interviews. And the reason for that is that we don't want that to draw out. We don't want to lose any potential candidates. And so we canvass internally, and we're hosting 6 interview sessions per day. We did have upwards of 100 applicants. And so our goal right now is to get...
They have 100 applicants. So what's the problem? I figured this is what's really going on. It's never been an application shortage. It's just that they don't hire people for one reason or another. Okay, they say there's this big labor shortage, but no, it's not really true. They use that as an excuse.
Get all of those processed, and we had 37 days of interviews. We are down to 26. And
so why don't you have the numbers? How many people have you hired since the last board meeting? How many people have you interviewed that you didn't hire since the last? How many people have quit since the last? You could give us some facts. But as we all know, we don't get actual facts from this. These people don't give us facts. They always march around the truth. They don't tell you the story. They kind of beat around the bushes.
Again, 6 interviews a day, getting those folks processed as quickly as possible so that we can not lose out on that hiring pool. The other quick thing that I'll mention is that as we started to onboard, we have seen an increase in class sizes consistently over the last 2 months.
Okay.
And so with our
And what are those increases, my dear? Give us the numbers, please. I'm always asking for the numbers. Don't just talk in generalities. Give us the numbers.
steering committee that we're going to be holding, our goal is to get that up to 22 individuals per class. And so that is our goal. And as Kim mentioned, we do have our first meeting tomorrow. So we'll continue to drive those initiatives internally and focus our efforts on getting those applications processed as quickly.
This should be the number one priority at TRIMET. Everything else should be dropped. And this should be the number one priority. Move everybody, all hands on deck to solve this problem. What? Do I have something muted here? All hands on deck to solve this problem. But, you know, this is the top priority, or it should be.
Quickly as possible.
Thank you very much. I would hope that we don't compromise our standards and values while we're doing this.
Agreed.
Well, I don't know. Seems to me like you got a lot of people behind the wheel that don't belong there right now, so I don't know what you're yakking about. How come I'm not hearing this? What happened? Now I lost my sound here.
General Manager DESUE, I think we will move on.
All right, that's enough of this. That wasn't too traumatizing for me, so we got through that one pretty good. 41 minutes it took me to get through it.